Prof. Azia.
Yeah, she mentioned this as well. Yeah, so you guys are actually from the same batch.
Same batch. Okay.
So welcome once again to Associate Professor Dr. Wan Zuhainis. Despite the tight schedule, all the meetings that you have to attend all day in Putrajaya. But I would like to thank on behalf of the organizing team for spending some time with us to share with us your experience and also your expertise in learning and teaching, I think, because the Dr. Wan Zuhainis, for everyone's information, Dr. Wan Zuhainis is the recipient of the Anugerah Akademik Negara Kelompok Sains Tulen. Because her background is in microbiology, so we are earlier we're learning from the philosophy from social science background. Now the application of e-learning or the application of learning and teaching in science is where Dr. Wan Zuhainis' forte is, because reading through her profile, right, Dr. Wan Zuhainis has several patents and also copyrights to several e-learning products, if I'm not mistaken, from ranging from Exquisite, Mighty Microbes, and Big Book of Microbes. So she is using her knowledge in microbiology, and I think she is actually using it to engage or inspire students to inspire students' interest in learning microbiology and science into a more fun way, I would say, yeah. Rather than right. So Dr. Wan Zuhainis is she is from University Putra Malaysia, but currently she is attached to the Ministry of Higher Education as the Director of Academic Excellence Division under the Department of Higher Education. And currently she oversees the strategic academic planning and policy development, innovation, scholarship of teaching and learning, and also in talent excellence. I think people are anxious to hear from Dr. Wan Zuhainis, so I think I would cut my voice short. And I would invite Dr. Wan Zuhainis to give your sharing session with that. فلتفضل مشكورة. Yes, Dr. Wan.
Thank you so much, Dr. Firdaus. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon. Can you hear me well?
Yes, Dr. Wan, you can.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, just the slide that you want to share.
Yes, I'm going to share my screen now.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you again for having me, and thank you for spending your time, your perhaps your lunchtime now. I'm sorry that I would like to apologize for being a bit late. I just finished, as I mentioned earlier, about 4 meetings this morning. Let me take this 1 hour of your time to share my experiences in teaching and learning. When I was invited for sharing my experience in Anugerah Akademik Negara Kelompok Sains Tulen, pure sciences, I just want to emphasize that it's not about the Anugerah, okay? It's not about the award, but the most important thing is how we to share our passion. For me, is about our passion in learning, our enthusiasm for learning with our students. So, and I always like to use this word reimagineering learning, because I think it's very important for us to have that ability to imagine and at the same time to engineer, not just to imagine, to dream about it, but to take action and do. So I think this slide never grows old, because John Dewey said, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday, we rob them of tomorrow. And that is what I did, because I believe that students need to be given the opportunity, be given the flexibility for them to speak out their minds and to take charge of their own learning. I'm sure just now when you had your session with Prof. Fauzia, who is also a very passionate educator in social sciences, and I would be focusing on the teaching of microbiology, okay? Teaching of microbiology with technology. Quickly, because when we talk about skills right now, because of this pandemic, also have accelerated and make and transform our landscape of higher education, which not only higher education, all the even the industries and certain skills that are being highlighted in World Economic Forum. Analytical thinking, complex problem solving, critical thinking. Only this morning also when we were discussing with the British Malaysia Chamber of Commerce about how, we have how much of the critical thinking that and analytical thinking that we have integrated in our curriculum, and how do we actually ensure that the students obtain all these skills during their studies and not before they not upskilling and skilling after they graduate. So I like to use these slides, although this is published in 2019, but I think all the skills, science making, social intelligence, novel and adaptive thinking, cross-cultural competency, computational thinking, new media literacy, transdisciplinary design mindset, cognitive load management, and virtual collaboration. Now, I would like to ask you to just, remember all these skills and connect this with the experiences that I'm going to share, that I have shared with my students. Okay, these 10 skills were published in 2019, and I'm sharing with you on the from AAN is actually 10. You must have at least 10 years of experience in teaching for Anugerah Pengajaran. Okay, when one question that I posted in 2000, I think in 2017, to a group of students, of 60 students at that time, and those students actually came from all over higher learning institutions, including the Institute Latihan Kemahiran, other public and private universities. And I asked them, how do you learn best in the classroom? And using Mentimeter, simple one. And to my surprise, you see the biggest word there is actually love, right? So when I asked them, what do you mean? You learn best. What do you mean by you learn best when you're, what do you love, or who do you loving when you learn in the classroom? So they say that they learn best in the classroom when they love the way the lecturer teaches, the way they love the topic, they love the environment, they love the people who are learning with them. Okay, so with that, I would think that our students are our students as an individual, individualized, non-traditional, self-directed, passion-driven, innovative, reflective, experiential learning that we want to provide them, from the word inspire. I do also believe very strongly that students need to be empowered. I know that during in AAN, when we actually prepare the portfolio, the first thing that you are asked is about your teaching philosophy. I'm being a microbiologist, about trying to relate about learning theories, about pedagogy and learning and teaching philosophy. But after I'm sure that those the lecturers that are not from the education background, they perhaps will have some, there are terms that they are not familiar with this learning theories and teaching philosophy, for example. But along the way, that's why we emphasize to the new lecturers during their kursus asas pengajaran pembelajaran PDP that will have to go through this teaching philosophy and learning theories, so that we ourselves as educators make sense of what we are doing actually. So I also believe that the task of an excellent teacher is to stimulate apparently ordinary people to unusual effort. I like to use the word unusual. During when I was preparing my portfolio, the theme is about unusual, not just about, as I mentioned earlier, it's not about the award, and it's not about the portfolio. It's because this portfolio combine and compile all your teaching and learning experiences with your student. But when I said the theme unusual, I want my portfolio also to be unusual, because that's the mantra that I have given to my students. Microbiology students, they have to be unusual, and I need to prove that. They need to prove it. So, and we have to walk the talk also. In order for our students to be unusual, we have to, as an educator, we have to be unusual, because we are their role model. So my portfolio that I developed is actually based with augmented reality. So for example, this one, this is actually a fungus microbiology, and I am actually a mycologist, which is focused on fungus, specialized in fungus. So this is a fungus, a model that my first semester student created using, at that time, 2014, the student used SketchUp software and printed the model using 3D printer. Right. So I use this as in the front page of my portfolio. Now, when the portfolio come with augmented reality. At that time, when I developed the portfolio was in 2017, there was this app called Reveal, right? Now this app is no more. And so when you scan the icon, the Reveal icon, there will be a video playing on your phone. So in the portfolio, we'll have all these icons where I also want, the jury to try on it. Okay, so come back to the word unusual. So this was my first page of my portfolio, and with a caption showing that this is the work of my final year students. It's called the Tunnel of the History of Microbiology, to show the evolution of microbiology, starting from the founder of microbiology in 1668, Anton van Leeuwenhoek, until 2015 Nobel laureate at that time. And this tunnel was created at that time in the event called the Carnival, the Amazing Microbes. And this was in 2015. So why I showed this? Because when we when we were discussing about to have that carnival, the final year student at that time, they came up with this idea and they said, okay, they were the one who actually volunteered to do from scratch at that time. And finally, they created this. This is the tunnel where the participants the participants of the carnival will go through this tunnel, and they will open up the tunnel to the hall with lots of microbes activities, which I'm going to share with you later. Okay, I'm not going to show you my teaching philosophy first, but I will show that at the end, and you will perhaps you will be able to reflect on all the teaching and learning that activities that I've been doing with my students, and relate that to my teaching philosophy. But I'm sharing with you the theory inspiring the philosophy, which is actually constructivism and connectivism, because I do believe that, you know, the students need to have that personalized learning environment to be able to have that design mindset to construct and also to connect with others. And that's why I said I built my own network with students, and together we expand these networks beyond traditional models of learning. So when they come into my class, it has always been a very non-conventional. They can sit anywhere they want. They can sit on the floor. They can, you know, they know they have that flexibilities. This picture is actually in my classroom, and they sit on the floor with all the laptops. Now, I always think it's very important to have that connectivism just now. And this quote that I give it to them, I said, I call my students my kids, because in our year together, they aren't just kids on my class list, they become a part of my heart. Because everything I do with my students, okay, everything that my plan, my ideas, our activities actually with my students, for them also. Okay, so just like Einstein said, I don't teach my students, I just attempt to create an environment in which they can learn. So it is very important that, you know, the first thing when you want to design, okay, when you want to design your classroom, your tasks, your activities, you have to work that with your students. Of course, you know, earlier you have your own plans, right? Okay, for this semester, this is what you're going to do. This is the project that you're going to do. These are the assignments. But I will always get opinions, you know. Although I have my own plans, I don't actually reveal it with them first, you know. So I will come in, and during the first semester, the first day of the semester, I will just, okay, so what are we going to do this semester? But that is for the, you know, the second semester or the second year, but for the first semester, first year student, first day of class, that is the most important day in your entire life for the students. The first day, for me, my own opinion, because I was the one who actually will be the one who's always be going to be excited, you know, to meet my first semester student with new clothing and you know, the excitement to and fully prepared for my first class with my first semester student. And the first semester, if let's say at that time in 2011, 2012, when I started with this e-learning approach, that time we don't have, you know, not many of this with a smartphone, but they have a laptop. So one students in a group perhaps will have laptop. But starting 2014, where everybody comes in with devices. So that was actually the year where really BYOD, bring your own device. Okay, so first day, they have to do reflection already. And I was just simply using Padlet at that time. And I know that the lecturers, during the first day, they have to go through all the lesson plan, the syllabus, the topics in their for that particular course, the learning outcomes and all, right? But I always turn it into a relate to the real life situation. For example, talk about real life, about cheese, for example, about food. And the approach is always lecture by questioning. Question the students, get the students involved. And during the first class, where everybody is so, like, so scared, and they may not even choose microbe, for example, microbiology, for example. So we need to pick their curiosity, to instill the interest first about microbes. So that's why first class is very important. So from here you can see that from that particular a few minutes of discussing about microbe, and then reflects on the exercise that we do. Then you can see, for example, this one talk about, it was fun, we got to learn new things and have good discussion about the topic. Glad to know about new things and expand the knowledge about the application of microbes. This one, the atmosphere in class is truly different, whereby it's always fun and there's plenty of new things we learn which not included in textbook, for example, right? So the approach is always about getting the students to interact with you, and nobody is going to, and when you know the students, you know their names, that is, for me, it's very important. You need to remember your student's name. I know that it is a challenge for some lecturers to remember all names, but for me, I will really take the efforts to remember. If I have 60 students, I will remember all the 60 of them, and I will make sure that they will be called, not all 60, but they will be called in that week of classes. They will be called, they will be asked questions, they will know that they will have to participate in all the classes. So it's all about active learning, and it's not just about the students and me, myself, but with multi-ways, not just the two-way communication. So with that, we are the 21st century educators, and we want our students to have that 21st century skills also. So the approach that we use is in delivering our subject matters are very important, our content. So the approach is active learning, and it's always been project-based learning. And of course, experiential learning. Games and gamification are introduced in during their studies, their courses with me, and of course, collaborative learning. Peer learning is the most, for me, is very, very effective, and not only just teamwork, but there are many other skills that the students can actually develop through project-based learning. And as I mentioned earlier, 2011, 2012, we do a lot of this role play. Okay, we don't have much of the devices at that time, so we do a lot of role play, game-based learning. But students, they were very, very creative. They create videos, and we have a lot of the formative assessment done during the during classes. And I do believe that students need to learning by doing. And I would like to emphasize that most of the tasks that I have given to them, were all without grade. Okay, most of them are formative assessment, except for the bigger projects are being graded. So we even have we have a lot of these collaborative learning, and using tools like Poplet at that time, where Poplet is actually a mind map, collaborative mind map, that you would know how each and every member of the team can contribute to the same mind map. Okay, because you can see the names are here in the mind map. I'm sure some of you have used this before, right? Okay, now when we have this mind map, so students work on the mind map before they come to the class, right? And during the class, I ask them to, create that mind map again without talking to each other, but create the mind map. Now, this is before I start my class. They come in and then I say, okay, download back all the mind maps that you have done last night or before the class. So I know that this one look messy, right? This one look messy, but it's not about the mess. It's about the students took charge of their own learning. They went out and they recreate or download all the information that they have done, and they actually help each other by correcting and create their using whatever that the knowledge that they know, and put it on the same mind map. So the gist of the topic for that particular day, for that particular topic, has been shared before even the class started. So what do we do actually during the class? So the class is all about discussing, on the current issues for that particular topic, relate to the real life situation, go walk through the, some news, for example, related to the topics. So, and with their devices, so simply using a crossword puzzle, online crossword puzzle, 2013. This photo was taken 2013. This is formative assessment. Of course, you yourself have to create that crossword puzzle first. But this one will just take you about 10 minutes to do. Even before you start your class, you can do. So the students will take, after the discussion, okay, then everybody will do their own self-assessment using the crossword puzzle online. And that's why I do believe in empowering the learners with project-based learning for experiential learning, for them to have. I'm providing the opportunity for them to learn through learning by doing, so that they have that experiences. And these are some of the examples of the project-based learning that I have created for my students, with my students. So there are many, starting even from gamification, e-portfolio, journals. We go for national and international competitions, newsletter, digital storytelling, which I'm going to show you later. Okay, now we even I have given them a task during the semester break. During the semester break, this is first semester student, and you will have a 1 week semester break. Okay, 5-week semester break before you come to the second semester, right? So the first semester student, when they go back balik kampung, they will ask to take an image, okay, take a photo. And from that photo, using a tool called ThinkLink, to find out about anything about the microbes that can be found on the photo. and you have to find journals, you have to find YouTube, and you have to interview a person in your kampung to talk about this microbe. And that interview, that recorded interview, must be embedded in the image that you take. I remember very well in 2014, I have 51 students at that time, okay? And before the semesters open in February, all 51 of them submitted the assignment on this. And this assignment is, I didn't grade the assignment. There's no marks for this. But all 51 of them did. And at that time, even the parents were happy. They told me, because the students were, they have to actually, spend time, doing the video, take picture, find the journals, and interview anybody in kampung and create this assignment. So they said, the parents were happy because even during semester break, also the son and daughters are doing work on microbiology. But of course, some of my colleagues at that time, you're taking so much of the students' learning time. Okay, or so taking so much of the student time, for example. Well, it's not about I actually just proposed for them for this task, and they actually submitted voluntarily, and all 51 of them submitted. So I think that's why I said you need to share the excitement for learning with them, so that they are also curious about microbe. They want to know more. Because once we instill their interest, students will explore themselves. And the way we deliver, or the way our approach, for example, even before 2000, earlier in 2005, 2006, people talk about SEL, and it's all about, and the misconception about SEL is student-centered learning, okay, presentation. But every time we want to assess communication, is all presentation. But presentation you can have in many approaches also. For example, I do scrapbook, I do 3MT, 3-minute thesis, which is actually, now is actually 3-minute talk, Pecha Kucha, poster with AR, augmented reality, or newsletter with AR. That is another mode of presentation also. This was in 2014, when I asked them, the project is called Adopt a Microbe, right? Okay, I have to speed up a bit because I am running out of time, but there's over 100 slides here to share with you. Now we are on slide 26. Okay. The first project that I've always give them for the first year students is adopt a microbe. Adopt a microbe, meaning that they have to find one microbe that they want to adopt. They have to really understand about the microbe and share it in the form of the digital scrapbook. 2014, students are using Powtoon at that time. And this was not taught. The tools that they need to use was not taught. They themselves have actually came up with that, right? And the next semester, the next year, the new batch of students, I use the same project, Adopt a Microbe, but now digital scrapbook plus 3-minute talk. 3-minute talk is in the hall, and the audience are not just the students. The audience are all for all. We open for all. All means not just the faculty. We open for all. And this was in what, 2016. Instead of just 3MT, now we created Pecha Kucha Microbes. This was also open to all, and we had this every we had this Mondays and Fridays every week from April to June. You know, we started with 30, 40 people from our class. And then come the next Friday, for example, we have 60 people. By the time after a few weeks, we had about 200 and 300 people in the hall to come and to have this, half an hour just to watch the presentation from this first year student telling people about their microbes in the form of Pecha Kucha. Pecha Kucha is 20 slides of images, of 20 images. Each slide is 20 seconds. Whole presentation is 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay, so we have a lot of formative assessment. This is another tools. And in 2014, first semester student, when I asked them what do you know about microbes, they said a lot of all the negative things about microbes. They said about all the ugly things about microbe diseases and all. So I created a project called Thank a Microbe. That means, and divided them into groups based on the application, environmental, food, medical, and then they have to identify one microbe that give benefits to the group. Okay, so and they have to create a poster with augmented reality. So my students and I have started to use the 2D augmented reality since 2014, and they have to exhibit this in the faculty, so that other students from other faculties, other programs can come and visit. 2016, 2017, we did also an exhibition of posters using 3D AR. Okay, 3D augmented reality. Before this, just 2D. And okay, I'm just showing this, for example, how we relate what they learn using real food, for example, cheese and bread. That topic was about food spoilage, for example. And then we printed out the fungus, for example, right? And this was in 2015. Okay, so these are all the model. Those are viruses, protozoa, and fungus. And okay, the same thing. And also, it is also very important for them to have the experience to share with others, like school students, for example. It is a different experience, because when they have to share and to explain about microbes to students, they have to put it in layman terms so that the school student would understand. So those are the kind of training that we need to give to our students. So in this Life Without Microbes project, they prepared newsletter, and then we invited students to come and to have that hands-on experience with my students. Another project, okay, so it's all about project-based learning, right? So another project is called Microbes and Earth, a documentary and interview. Students will need to, this is for environmental microbiology, microbial ecology. So students will have to identify an expert, okay, based on the ecology of the microbes. So students from the students talking to the doctor on a vaginal microbiome, for example. This one on the rumen microbiome, and they have to make it a poster, and also the interview with the experts. And all this need to be reflected in different mode, also in different approach of how the students reflect, because we need to know whether what we're doing with them are meaningful, okay, or impactful. Microbes newsletter with AR. Students were asked to go and interview in exhibition in the universities at that time to find a researcher that worked on microbe. Okay, and their task is like a journalist, so they have to go and come back and produce this newsletter and write about the research and interview, and that interview to be recorded and embed in AR. Okay, comics, also another approach of presentation and communication. Okay, so they produce comics. That's this is the biggest project that we did in 2015 and 2016, the Awesome Microbe Carnival, where we had more than 1,000 visitors at that time. Students' participation from first year until final year involved. And these are also no marks except for the poster presentation and of course in the modeling. So students first years and third year at that time, they were working on the models, and students with the third year and fourth year, they were selling microbe-based product outside the hall. And we invited students from school until other higher learning institution to join. So, and we work also with other programs, not only just microbiology. We have worked with biotech and biochemistry students. So they came up with this book. So the visitor who came to the carnival will go back with this book with augmented reality. And of course, we get them to reflect again, right? So I do also believe students, just now, the design mindset, students as designer. Game-based learning has always been one of my favorite approaches, where you see the game's evolution. From 2011, 2014, we just use this, papers. But by the time 2014, this is 2011. And by the time 2014, the Wheel of Fortune, for example, one of the famous game at that time, by the time 2014, it was online. So it was online. The evolution of games, right? And as an educator, as an academician, we also try to design the project that, to achieve our own, with this project, for example, we produce one copyright, Laptoring. This is a canvas that fits 16 people. This is with AR and QR code, and then we bring this game to other universities in UITM at that time to play the game. It is actually for leptospirosis awareness campaign, and from here we produce copyrights. We bring it to competition. We won gold at that time, and we also we had copyright. We won a gold medal in the competition, and we published a paper on this. Okay, so with one project, you can achieve many things, and you get the students to work with you. Okay, so get the students to produce. Okay, I just want to again to emphasize and share with you, with all these competitions and all these games that were produced by the students, none of these were assessed. Assessed meaning none of them were given marks or grades. Even during the competition, also the juries or the judges were asking the students, so how many marks are for this project? And then my students just simply quickly say, no marks. Nothing. It's not about, they themselves also understood that, not everything need to be graded. After they created the games, we get them to share it with the, like for example, like secondary school. So we do a lot of this science communication with community work. joined International University Carnival on e-learning, started with 2014, 2015, 2016. And all these 3 years, for example, we were the only groups undergraduates. And we won golds. We won silver and we won bronze, but we won, competing amongst the other lecturers and researchers in e-learning using the technology, right? Okay, so, and we need to, we don't underestimate our students. We need to, go beyond. Let them explore. We need to unleash their creative potential, not only just creative potential. They themselves may not know that they are creative. So I took 35 of them, 7 groups of students to join this NASA Space App Challenge in KLCC at that time, 2017. And one of the groups won the winner for People's Choice Award. Who knows that, our students actually be able to do hacking, for example, microbiology students. And we have all the international hackers and people from the computer sciences programs, for example. And again, relate to the real life situation. This is an example of the real life that I'm going to show you, that I have related this about bobtail squid, how its bioluminescence when in the dark, and it's actually because of the bacteria living with the bob squid, right? So we translate it, visualize it in the form of art. And my students work with students from the industrial design, Faculty of Agriculture, in developing this model. So in 2014 or so, you see all these are actually microbes. This is a virus. And this was in the Nyawa, Nature's Yield and Wonder of Arts, that exhibition that we in UPM have it every year. So that was in gamification. And we have of collaborative peer learning. This one is, I think, the biggest. Just now also the biggest, and now this is also the biggest. Virtual. Okay, this is the biggest virtual project that I've done with nearly 69 students. Started with this team teaching, virtual team teaching. I saw this in the website, when I was browsing, and then I saw these teachers. They were actually from 2 different schools, right, in Albuquerque, US, and they were doing virtual team teaching Spanish. So I just emailed to them. I said, I'm from Malaysia, and I would like to collaborate with you, get my students to work with your students. And they replied my email, and they were excited. So we had our first Zoom meeting at that time. It was in 2016. And so this virtual team teaching was my students created content for the 4th grade students in New Mexico. And we met twice in one semester. This was at 11 p.m., 11 p.m. and 8 o'clock a.m. there. So the time zone, of course, is a challenge, but the students, we just use Touchcast and use Blank Space and Trello, those 3 tools, and created the project. And the students, this is also not graded. From there, it triggered me to come up with this virtual microbes project, where we work together with 8 universities, plus Lafayette in US and La Trobe in Australia. For the students to each year, they have their own assignment to complete, but with different group. different group of students in one group, different universities of student members, and we use and assessment is done by their own courses, their own lecturers in their own universities, but the same assignment to complete. So this is from Lafayette. We use Padlet and Zoom for the project. It is totally peer learning collaborative project. Students work together at their own time. I mean, we have the progress, the timeline, but we don't actually join their discussion. It is totally peer learning, but they have to complete certain tasks that were given, and the tasks were discussed earlier with all the lecturers involved. And of course, with this Lafayette also college, for example, like, you know, the time zone, 10 o'clock at night that they met. So see, 10 p.m. So you see, students, at that time, 2016, we started to use Zoom. 2014, we used 3D printers. So during the pandemic in 2020, my students, you know, contacted me and said, everybody is using Zoom now. We had used that, you know, in 2016, for example. And of course, at that time, 769 participated the project. We have 769 reflections. Okay. So we even have students from law, University of Malaya, because she took this microbiology as an elective in her final year in UM, and at that time we were doing this virtual microbe, so she participated. And you see how this approach can produce other, other creative or innovative project. And most importantly is transdisciplinary. This is with Arwah Dr. Rose from IUM that we work together on service learning in microbiology, and we created modules for special education students. So we modules, that project produced a MOOC at that time. And even a platform using WhatsApp also is a platform for learning. So I have this WhatsApp group called The Unusual, okay? The Unusual All BMY. So this is from first year to fourth year students, all in the same one group. And why I said that WhatsApp also can be a learning platform, because you see, like for example, this one, Tongzhen is 17, 18 is actually the batch 17, 18. Because one person posted about HIV, and this Megat, for example, 14, 15 is batch 2014. So they were discussing, and of course the junior one is the 2017 and the senior in 2014. And you can see from here, yes, the virus genome dah bergabung dengan host genome guna increase. So they were actually discussing. And then came this one, we should talk about Avengers, for example, right? So it is actually can be a learning platform once you have actually, once you created, when you start, you get the students to discuss. That would be the platform. And you come in when you think it's necessary, to guide them. And I do believe just now, students as producers, students as designers, students as innovators, entrepreneurial innovation also were introduced. We did this Microbes Invention, Innovation and Ideation Challenge, where students need to identify one problem, okay? One problem in any application, but it has to be a real problem published in the news, okay? And it has to be a real problem. And they have to use a microbe, one microbe, okay, or microbes as a solution to the problem. And how do you know? How do they know that the microbes were able to solve the problem by studying the published journals on the ability of the microbes to solve the problems, and then they have to discuss it and develop an A1 poster. And they came up with prototypes, for example, and we have judges from the industry to come and to judge them and to share their inputs. So I think it was why I put that as entrepreneurial innovation, because they came up with prototypes that was very mind-blowing, and I think those are the industry will be able to pick up and even facilitate to commercialize it, for example. So we managed to get a lot of these copyrights. The students, you see, so the students, they not only that they will get the degree, but those are all value-added copyrights and published publications for them. So students and community, very important that they need to be able to make sense of what they are learning. So a lot of this community work that I bring the students, and those community works are actually based on what they produce, for example, like games and volunteerism also. So that's why when I'm here in the ministry, I introduced a Sulam, for example, so that the students will be able to make sense of what they're learning. And also work with other people. This is from the biotechnology communication, the Petri dish, where my students were involved in helping them to produce augmented reality in the articles that were published in the Petri dish. And so those are only some of the projects that I've done with my students. There are others, and it is also again very important that you would want to get reflections from students so that you know where you are, and for me it's kind of a very good motivation, for me to want to do more for my student with my students. So you see, when the students say, okay, can't wait for next class, that is actually a motivation for me. And usually at the end of the semester, also students will have to evaluate us, and students' comments also part of the again for us to improve. And this was a poem by Amalina in December 2012, where this is in her reflection, and this was after a trip to Yakut at that time. Yakut, very close to microbiology, so I brought them to Yakut factory, and they have to write a reflection coming back from the trip. So she created a poem, being unusual, I like to mutate myself, resist to all harshness, defending myself, dormant, not a death-like spores, but I knew I will survive. Give me time to arise. I'm not a spontaneous generation. Arise from non-living. I don't need a host like virus, yet I'm the host. I can stand on my own, sporulate like fungi, and spread my happiness. These are like spontaneous generation, virus, spores, are all those the topics that they have learned during their first semester. And you see, when during the first semester, students, they, when they come to the class, they will think that I don't like microbe. See, they said they don't like microbe. But then after, at the end of the
to say congratulations, because you succeeded in making me love microbiology. And due to your teaching methods with all the applications, I will make sure I will use them as much as possible. I won't uninstall them for sure. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so you also have to I think it's also important that you want to get some feedback from your colleagues, for example. Okay, so I just pose one question using a word. Okay, with one word, what do you think best describe yourself, describe me? So for students and from colleagues. So these are the word cloud that was produced during that short survey. Okay, and just now also I mentioned about sharings, which I think also very important, that like what we're doing now, you know, sharing with you my passion and my idea of providing that experiential learning from for our students in many platforms, nationally and internationally, through media, for example, talk. This was why I'm showing you this, because it was at that time, 23rd January 2018, where that was the first talk in 2018, and immersive learning through cybergogy, and we had a full house in the in UPM at that time, the hall, and the students, the participants came from all over other universities. And I would like to keep all these token of appreciation from my students. Every single thing that they gave me, I will cherish and keep it. And this is actually a happy birthday card with augmented reality. So when you scan on the cake, actually, when you scan on the cake, you see the student were singing happy birthday. And then came the awards, because when you were doing, and when you were, you know, working with your students, and you were actually teaching and learning with your students, then this will actually come, naturally. Okay, so that's why I keep saying that so often, that you think that the students you're trying to inspire are the ones that end up inspiring you. And I strongly believe that when teachers bond with the students, it creates a magical atmosphere where learning thrives. So come to the end of my teaching philosophy. To me, learning experiences should be fun and exciting. I look forward to designing interactive environment to engage students during, pre, in, and post-classroom activities. So our connection is not just during class, but before class and after class. I believe in creating opportunities for learners to unleash their creative potentials. I'm a strong advocate of learning by doing and empowering the learners, which can be achieved through involving students as co-creators and co-developers and co-learners. Don't be afraid to become co-learners. We are the 21st century educators. And I desire to pass on my passion and enthusiasm to my students. And as a microbiologist, I want the passion and enthusiasm to be contagious and infectious, which we do not want now as COVID, okay? But as the enthusiasm and passion that we want to be infectious, I want to inspire success. Thus, I call myself the learning designer who is willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So the most important thing is, in order to do that, you have to love what you do. And lastly, before I end this sharing, I would like to show to share with you this the most recent photograph. I met our students, my students, last year in the parliament. These are all microbiologists, graduated in 2017. So, you know, we were wearing masks, but we knew each other, and they came running to me when they saw me, they're now working. This is during the swab test, like a saliva test in the parliament. So kind of a reunion and touching moment. Okay, so I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope this sharing will benefit all, and thank you again for having me here. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Wan Zuhainis. I think that is a very inspiring talk. I think all the pictures that you shared, it really speaks volumes of what you have done throughout this, even before the pandemic, how the technology has been integrated in your teaching. Right? So I think when the pandemic comes, there's no hiccup for you to shift into total online learning, I think.
Exactly.
Subhanallah.
Just one more thing.
Yes.
Just one more thing. I think it's also very important for me to emphasize the technology, the tools. They're just a tool. They help you they facilitate you to enhance learning for students to have more meaningful learning. But you are the one who are the most important person that will guide and also the role model for your students. So always remember the pedagogy comes first and then the technology.
Oh, that's a good message. I would like to open the platform to audience who wants to ask any question to Dr. Wan Zuhainis. Sis Madam Nurhana, are there any questions in the YouTube?
No questions, Doctor.
No questions. Anyway, I think once again, I think I'm using my privilege here. If I can ask a question to Dr. Wan Zuhainis. Well, from your presentation, right? Throughout, I think the effort that you've done is started from 2010 or even before that. I'm not sure, but it looks like the way that it's built up is actually it became a concerted effort in your teaching efforts, where you involve students not only in your. It sounds like it does not only involve students in your classroom, but also students throughout the whole undergraduate bachelor's of microbiology.
Yes.
How do you actually manage to actually bring all of them together? And you keep on emphasizing that it's ungraded assignment.
Yeah. You see, when the idea came to work with other students from other universities, because I cannot teach everybody, right? I cannot teach everybody, but I would want them to have that opportunities also. You see, because let's say from my class, my student come in and they know, okay, they have to do a mind map, and then, they know the tools already. But then when they go to another class, they had to do a mind map also, but the lecturer asked them to draw a mind map using a pen and a paper, right? For example. So I feel like, my students will not be able to apply. I do not want them to apply the knowledge only in my class. So we want to scale up. And when they actually when they use Zoom, for example, for virtual microbes, when they go to other classes, because they have to take this English compulsory courses, and one of the is corporate communication, where they have to use Zoom, and once the lecturer just showed them on how to use, and they were saying, no, we know already how to use, they were saying, right? So that's what I said. And even in presentation also, when they go to other courses, the lecturer said, okay, this must be microbe students. They know. That's why I said my microbe student must be unusual. So I want to be that unusual, to have more unusual people. I like to use the word people. So one of the comments, I think they should have a statue in the university to put with the tagline, hello people, you know, because I like to use the word people. So when I have when I want to scale up the opportunity, so I said that's why we created the virtual microbe. I can tell you now, it's not easy because you have to approach the lecturers who would want to do this, and I don't blame them when they were a bit skeptical, or either skeptical or being like, you know, I don't know how to use these tools, but how can I get my students to work with you? But I had to convince them. Don't worry about the tools and everything, because my students will be you know, the one who actually teaching or guide your students, you know. So that's why we have this. And it was not easy because I had to call one by one, and I even called the head of the department, and I was rejected also. And there were times where rejected. Oh, please don't involve me with things that I don't know, he was saying. And then I said, I don't need you. I need your student only, for example. So, but we managed to do that, and it was a very successful project, and all the lecturers, all the microbiology students, microbiology lecturers from many universities were involved. And I hope that, you know, this can be replicated with other to other programs also.
That's very inspiring there. I think it's refreshing. I think it really take guts as well to actually.
Oh, okay. It's really true because as I mentioned, there are also some you know, some people being skeptical again, and for me it's like, I don't care, I'm going to do this, you know. So I'm since my students who are the one who actually push me to do this, and say, okay, what are we going to do? Even before the semester opened, they were at that time WhatsApp already. Okay, so next semester, what are we going to do? You know, they were excited. So how come you're not excited when your students are the one who are excited, right? Okay.
So meaning, I mean, you mentioned just now about I mean, putting more trust on the student's ability.
Yes.
Because it looks like there's a lot of software, there's a lot of tools that are being used throughout your teaching. But do you actually prepare time or to teach them that, or
No.
they explore themselves?
No, I don't even give them a link, a URL also. I just give them a name, Padlet, for example, right? Okay, I just give them a name, Thing Link. I don't even, because you won't have time to actually show them one, and you would want your students to explore. And I always tell them, okay, anybody who actually explore must share. So one person start explore and you know, manage to use it, they will share. So that's how everybody knows how to do.
So it's actually really like a really collaborative work of learning environment.
Exactly. And you don't have to worry about attendance, because you know everybody will come.
Yeah.
Everybody will not miss your class. And you know, everybody is looking forward, because that's what you want. You see, I would want, you know, I told them it would be excited, because you know, when you think of when you wake up in the morning, you punya excited nak datang to my class tu sampai you terjatuh katil, macam tu lah. So you would want to create that environment, that learning environment, because the students need to feel safe, you know, and they are happy learning together. That actually one of the factors that contribute to all the innovations that have been created in my classes.
So I mean, I take it that even the students are the one who actually keep yourself up to date with the technology as well.
Exactly. That's why I said co-learners. Do you remember co-learners? So when I said, okay, I just told them, okay, for these posters, you can use Canva or you can use other tools, Photoshop, and so. But this person will come with Wakelet, for example. So, oh, what is that? I've never heard. Okay, so now I'm learning from them, right? But the question is, why do they actually explore another tool where I have actually listed out some of the tools, meaning that they were interested. And why did they explore? Because they were interested. But why did I think the challenge is to instill that interest, to pick the curiosity for them to explore, right?
To create that willingness to explore themselves.
Yes.
I know that I think you have a meeting at 1 o'clock, but can I still open?
Can. Sure.
Is there anyone who wants to ask any question? You can turn on your mic, I think, if you want to ask any
Yeah.
question. Otherwise, you can just drop the question in the chat box. And I will
So is everyone still there? Wondering.
I think
because I can't see any videos on, and it's lunchtime.
Yeah. But I myself, I am inspired by what I think I'm gonna go and because it sounds like the planning takes a lot as well before you actually
that's why you woke up 4 o'clock in the morning. For example, like the Awesome Microbe Carnival, where students needs to create the 3D model, and we had to find some allocation for 3D printers, 3D printing. So a lot of work. But when you work together, when you have all these students the whole batch of students are helping. So those idea, like for example the tunnel just now, it was actually an idea, and they will say, okay, we volunteered to do without you asking them to do, right? So it makes, once you have this bond, this connection, they make your life easier, and what they give to you is beyond your expectation.
That bond actually creates that trust.
Yes, exactly.
So I think maybe one last question before I let you go.
Okay.
Because I think maybe the guys in the KPT is also waiting. So in terms of preparing yourself as I would say you are like the unusual educator, right? Like maybe that's what you prefer to call yourself, I think. How do you actually look forward to I mean, do you actually imagine what your students is going to be doing in the future? Are they actually, because the way that you prepare them, even you mentioned that they can hack as well, right? Just now, I mean, you have hacking microbiologists somewhere around. But because the way that in the 21st century, like the slide that you showed earlier, the skill set is not a typical skill set that normally people expect from a microbiologist or a scientist, a scientific background, right?
Yeah.
So how do you have any any advice for us moving into, especially we're shifting back into the endemic era, right, where we're going back to classroom. Virtual classroom might not be the 100% practice anymore.
True.
How do we can actually accommodate this? Maybe because this is a good time for us for me to reboot my teaching strategy as we go into this. Do you have any advice for that?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Firdaus. Online learning is here to stay, definitely. Okay, and moving towards endemic, for example, hybrid learning is also should be in place. And what I call is hybrid and flexible learning. You would want to Google that, Dr. Firdaus. High flex learning, because we need to provide that a lot of these flexibilities, and and because of this flexibility come with very fluid and very organic landscape of learning. Students will have to be given more choices and options, and that will actually provide what I call different skill set for the students. Of course, for some professional programs, like engineers, medicals, and all, they have their standard curriculum that they need to follow. But even the students from these professional programs also, they can be offered with different certain skill sets. So transdisciplinary should be the way forward in designing your curriculums and programs, and of course to identify what are the skill sets that you think that your students need to achieve during the studies. That's why in designing the curriculum, you would want to have certain courses or certain tracks. Even let's say in microbiology, for example, if during the internship you can have entrepreneurial for internship, or this one for marketing, or to market the micro products, or design, or even in app developing, for example. So I do believe that with the generation Z right now, and with all this gig economy, with all these fourth industrial revolutions, all this disruptive technology, students need to be given that choices, and that choices are all up to the educators, the program owners themselves. We can have a very solid, amazing curriculum, but if you're going to deliver and if you're going to design the task just like you're doing conventionally, then you are not providing them that experiences, that opportunity. Many students, they need to be made known that these are the experiences that they need to have during the studies, and it has to be by design and not by chance.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wan Zuhainis. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I think what I love about today's session between Prof. Fauzia earlier and also Dr. Wan Zuhainis is, despite these two speakers coming from different backgrounds, one from a social science and one from a hardcore science background, the implementation of teaching and learning and the philosophy behind it is actually interestingly is quite similar.
Similar, yes.
Yeah, because I think Dr. Wan Zuhainis mentioned about challenging the students. Prof. Fauzia was also mentioning about challenging the students, but at the same time providing support for them. And I think what was highlighted throughout these two presentations is how you put your trust in this effective mediation. Put affections with your relationship with the students, and you trust them to actually build themselves with peer learning and collaborative learning. I think that is very, very beautiful philosophy that I think we can actually hold dear to. All right. I think that's it. Is there any other any last words from Dr. Wan Zuhainis before? It's already 10 minutes beyond past your meeting.
I would like to congratulate to those who are here today. And one thing that I would like to, I hope that, from all of you here, don't stop learning. Always be ready to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And don't be afraid to try. And don't undermine your student. That is also very important. And I always like to use this quote. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.
That is very deep, very deep indeed. I think there are a lot of quotes that's actually, because I think I'm going to be watching back this recording, because there's a lot of quotes that actually you've presented today that is very, very inspiring.
Thank you.
Alright.
Thank you, Dr. Faizaz.
All right. So with that, thank you very much once again, Dr. Wan Zuhainis, and I would like to record my thanks as well to Prof. Fauzia earlier as well, for these two wonderful sharing session today. And on behalf of the organizing team, I would like to apologize for any glitches that happened, and or any weakness on our side. But most of all, thank you very much to the speakers and also to the audience for your attention and time. And I hope we will see each other again. Hopefully, maybe not virtually or maybe physically once again. And with that, I end the session today with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Have a nice